The windshield wipers of Michael Henderson's 2003 Honda Civic struggled against the relentless snowfall as he pulled into the parking lot of Westfield Mall in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It was 7:30 p.m. on a Tuesday in January, and the mall was nearly deserted, with most shoppers having fled before the storm hit. Michael killed the engine and sat in the darkness, listening to the wind howl outside. His hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you, $7.43. That's all he had left in his wallet, plus whatever loose change was scattered in the coin tray. His last paycheck from the auto repair shop had barely covered rent and groceries for him and his 8-year-old son, Tyler. Medical bills from Tyler's emergency room visit 3 months ago, a broken arm from a playground accident, had drained their savings. The pink slip he'd received yesterday still sat crumpled in his jacket pocket. Michael checked his phone one more time. No messages. No callbacks from the 3 job applications he'd submitted that afternoon. He'd parked here to save gas on the drive home, knowing Tyler was safely staying with their neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, until 9 p.m. She'd offered to watch Tyler for free while Michael job hunted, but he couldn't impose on her kindness much longer. He grabbed the plastic bag containing Tyler's birthday present, a second-hand remote-controlled car that needed some minor repairs. Michael had found it at a thrift store for $4. With his mechanical skills, he could have it working perfectly. At least Tyler would have something to unwrap next week when he turned 9. As Michael pulled the hood of his worn pea coat over his head and opened the car door, a sharp crack echoed across the parking lot. About 50 yards away, a red Mustang convertible, an older model, maybe a 66 or 67, sat at an odd angle. Steam rose from under its hood in ghostly wisps that were immediately torn apart by the wind. A woman emerged from the driver's side, her designer heels clearly inadequate for the ankle-deep snow. She wore a charcoal gray business suit and had auburn hair that whipped around her face as she struggled against the elements. Michael watched as she pulled out her phone, the glow illuminating her frustrated expression. His instinct told him to help, but his wallet reminded him that good deeds were a luxury he couldn't afford right now. Still, he couldn't just leave her stranded in this weather. Tyler would be ashamed of him if he walked away. Michael trudged across the parking lot, his worn work boots crunching in the snow. As he approached, the woman looked up from her phone. "Car trouble," he called out. She turned toward him, relief washing over her face. "Thank God." "Yes. I was trying to leave, but then I heard this awful sound, and now steam is everywhere. My phones. They're dead. I was going to call roadside assistance." "I might be able to help," Michael said, pulling his flashlight from his pocket. "I worked at Mitchell's Auto Repair downtown. Mind if I take a look?" "Please do. I'm Sarah Chen. I don't know much about cars, I'm afraid." "Michael Henderson," he replied, already lifting the hood. The flashlight beam revealed the problem immediately. "You've got a split radiator hose. That's what's causing the steam." "Is it serious?" Michael examined the damage more closely. The tear was substantial, about 3 inches long. In this weather, driving with it would be suicide. The engine would overheat within minutes. In this storm, yes. You'd be stuck on the road somewhere. This needs to be fixed before you can drive." Sarah groaned and leaned against the car. "Of course. Nothing can go right today. My flight to New York was canceled. I missed my sister's engagement dinner, and now this." She paused, studying Michael in the dim light. "You really think you can fix it?" "I'd need some duct tape and maybe a hose clamp. Sometimes these old Mustangs have parts that are hard to find." Michael hesitated. "There's a 24-hour hardware store about 2 miles away. I could run over and get what's needed." "In this weather, I couldn't ask you to do that." "It's no trouble. I've got time." Michael didn't mention that he'd rather spend his remaining $7 on repair supplies than watch it dwindle away on nothing. Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out her wallet. "Let me give you some money for the parts." "No need. I've got it." Michael's pride wouldn't let him accept money for something he might not be able to fix. "At least take my umbrella." She held out a compact umbrella from her handbag. Michael smiled sadly. "With this wind, umbrellas don't stand a chance. I'll be back in 30 minutes. He returned to his car and drove to Henson's Hardware, using the last of his gas money to get there. The old man behind the counter recognized him. "Michael, staying busy in this storm." "Trying to help someone out, Jim. Need a radiator hose." 66 or 67 Mustang. Jim scratched his head. "Don't have the hose, but I've got industrial-grade duct tape and some heavy-duty hose clamps. Might do the trick if you're careful." Michael bought the supplies, watching his wallet shrink to $3 and change. He drove back through the increasingly treacherous streets, nearly sliding into a ditch twice. Sarah was sitting in her car when he returned, engine off to conserve battery. She stepped out eagerly. "You came back. I was starting to worry." "I'm not much, but I keep my word." Michael set to work immediately. His hands were stiff from the cold, but muscle memory guided them. He'd fixed hundreds of radiator hoses over the years. Sarah watched as he worked, occasionally holding the flashlight steady when the wind threatened to shake it. "You have kids?" she asked, noticing the car seat in his back seat. "A son, Tyler. He's 8, turning 9 next week." "Must be hard, being a mechanic with a young child." "My brother-in-law's a mechanic. Says the hours are brutal." Michael paused in his work, then continued without looking up. "I was let go yesterday. Economy's tough on independent shops. I'm so sorry. That's terrible timing with the holidays just past." "It is what it is," Michael said, tightening the final clamp. "Okay, I think that'll hold. But you should get this looked at properly soon. This is just a temporary fix." He closed the hood as Sarah started the engine. No steam rose this time. She let it run for a few minutes, then killed it. "It's working. Thank you so much, Michael. I'm sorry I don't have any way to pay you right now. My credit cards are in my other purse, and I stupidly left it at my office." "Don't worry about it. Just glad I could help." Sarah wrote something on the back of a business card and handed it to him. "This is my cell number. Call me tomorrow and I'll make sure you're compensated properly. You saved me tonight." Michael took the card and nodded. "Drive carefully." He watched her Mustang slowly pull out of the parking lot, red taillights disappearing, into the white curtain of snow. Only then did he allow himself to check the card. Sarah Chen, Regional Manager, Chen & Associates Investment Firm, New York, NY. Driving home, Michael's mind raced. He wouldn't call her. It felt wrong to ask for money when he'd chosen to help. Besides, what could an investment firm manager do for an unemployed mechanic? His phone buzzed as he pulled into his apartment complex. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you again. Please call tomorrow. I mean it." Sarah, Mrs. Rodriguez, met him at the door when he picked up Tyler. "How's the job hunt?" she asked in her soft Mexican accent. "Still looking," Michael said, avoiding her kind eyes. "Tyler was already asleep on her couch, homework scattered on the coffee table. He's a good boy, did all his work before the cartoons." Mrs. Rodriguez handed him Tyler's coat. "You look tired, mijo. Eat something hot tonight." Back in their small apartment, Michael carried Tyler to bed, studying his son's peaceful face in the dim nightlight. Tyler's dark hair fell across his forehead just like his mother's had. She'd passed away from cancer when Tyler was just 3, leaving Michael to navigate parenthood alone. The next morning, Michael made Tyler breakfast, the last of the oatmeal, and sent him off to school with the promise of a special dinner. He'd figure out how to pay for it later. After Tyler left, Michael sat at their kitchen table, Sarah's business card in front of him. His phone had exactly 1 bar left on the battery indicator. If he didn't charge it soon, he'd miss any job callbacks. But charging cost electricity, and he was behind on the electric bill. At 10 a.m., he finally made the call. Sarah Chen speaking. "Miss Chen, this is Michael Henderson from last night. Michael, I'm so glad you called. Are you available to meet for lunch today? There's something I'd like to discuss with you. Lunch? Well, I suppose I could make it into town. He didn't mention he'd planned to spend the day applying for jobs online at the library. Excellent. Antonelli's Restaurant, 12:30. It's on 4th Street. Do you know it? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Yes, ma'am. I'll be there. Antonelli's was the kind of Italian restaurant Michael drove past but never entered. He arrived early, waiting outside in the cold rather than face the maître d' in his stained work jacket. Sarah pulled up exactly at 12:30 in her now spotless Mustang. She wore a navy blue pantsuit and carried herself with an air of authority that made Michael straighten his shirt. "Thank you for coming," she said, greeting him with a warm smile. "I took your advice and had my regular mechanic look at the car this morning. He couldn't believe you fixed it so well with just duct tape and hose clamps." Inside the restaurant, the waiter handed them menus that had no prices. Michael's stomach tightened. He couldn't afford to even look at food this expensive. "I'll just have water," he said when the waiter returned. "Nonsense." Sarah closed his menu. "We'll both have the special and a bottle of your house Chianti, please." After the waiter left, Sarah leaned forward. "Michael, I need to explain why I asked you here. Last night in that parking lot, I was at one of the lowest points in my life. My company's been restructuring, and I've been under tremendous pressure. I was seriously considering resigning, but watching you, a stranger who clearly had his own problems, stop to help me without asking for anything in return, it reminded me why I got into business in the first place." Michael shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what anyone would do, but not everyone would, especially not with their own troubles weighing them down." Sarah took a sip of water. "I did some research this morning. I called Mitchell's Auto Repair. They spoke very highly of you. Said letting you go was purely financial. They'd rehire you in a heartbeat if they could. That's kind of them to say. I run an investment firm that specializes in helping small businesses expand. We've been looking to diversify into the automotive sector. After talking to Mitchell this morning and learning about your reputation in the community, I have a proposition for you." The waiter arrived with their food, chicken marsala with sides Michael couldn't identify but smelled incredible. His stomach growled audibly. "Please eat," Sarah said. "We can talk while we enjoy our meal." Michael took a bite, trying to eat slowly despite his hunger. The food was amazing, nothing like the canned soup and sandwiches he and Tyler lived on. "Here's what I'm proposing," Sarah continued. "My firm wants to invest in opening a new auto repair franchise here in Lancaster. We'd provide the initial capital, equipment, and help with business management, but we need someone local, someone with experience and a reputation for honesty to run it. Someone who understands both the technical side and the importance of customer service." Michael nearly choked on his pasta. "Me? You. Full ownership stake after 5 years, plus a competitive salary starting immediately. We've already identified a location, that old Texaco station on Main Street that's been vacant for months. With some work, it could be perfect. But I don't have any business experience. I'm just a mechanic." "You're more than that, Michael. You're someone who stops to help a stranger in a snowstorm. That's the kind of integrity we value. The business side we can teach, character we can't." Michael set down his fork, his mind reeling. "This is real? This isn't some joke? It's very real. And there's more." Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. "We did a background check. Standard procedure. I know about Tyler, about losing your wife, about the medical bills that have been crushing you financially." Michael tensed, embarrassed that a stranger knew so much about his private struggles. "I'm not telling you this to embarrass you," Sarah said gently. "I'm telling you because our offer includes a signing bonus that would more than cover those debts." plus comprehensive health insurance for you and Tyler, effective immediately. I can't. This is too much. Why would you do this for someone you just met? Because sometimes the best investments aren't in stocks and bonds. They're people. People who show character when they think nobody's watching. People who teach their kids by example that helping others matters more than personal gain. The waiter returned to clear their plates. Neither had finished eating. "Take some time to think it over," Sarah said. "But I'll need an answer by Friday. We want to start renovations on the building immediately if you're interested. Can I bring Tyler to see the location? This affects him too." "Of course. How about tomorrow afternoon, say 4 p.m.? That should give you time to pick him up after school." That evening, Michael waited nervously for Tyler to get home from school. When the boy bounded through the door, Michael knelt down to eye level. "Hey, buddy, how was school?" "Mr. Johnson says I have to do a presentation about what my dad does for work." Tyler's face fell. "I told him you fix cars, but then Tommy said his dad says nobody fixes cars anymore. They just buy new ones when they break." Michael's heart ached. He pulled Tyler into a hug. Sometimes grown-ups don't know everything, even Tommy's dad. And, "Hey, I've got some news that might help with your presentation." He told Tyler about the job offer, carefully explaining it in terms an 8-year-old could understand. Tyler's eyes grew wider with each detail. "So we'd have our own shop, like really ours. Well, technically there'd be partners, but yes, we'd run it together. What do you think? Can I have my own wrench?" Michael laughed, the first genuine laugh he'd had in months. "You can have a whole toolbox." The next day, Sarah met them at the old Texaco station. It was even bigger than Michael had remembered. 3 service bays, a small office area, and plenty of room for expansion. Tyler ran around examining everything while Michael discussed plans with Sarah. "The neighborhood association has been hoping someone would revitalize this corner," Sarah explained, showing him architectural drawings on her tablet. "We've already spoken with them. They're supportive of the project." Michael walked through the space, imagining where equipment would go, how they'd organize the workflow. For the first time since he'd lost his job, he felt hope kindling in his chest. After the tour, they stopped for ice cream at a nearby shop. Tyler chatted excitedly about helping in the garage, while Sarah patiently answered his questions about where they'd get the parts, how many cars they could fix at once, and whether he could design the sign. "Kids have good instincts," Sarah observed, as Tyler went to order more ice cream. "He's excited about this opportunity. He hasn't been this happy since—" Michael trailed off. "Since his mother passed," Sarah finished gently. "I know. And I know that losing her bankrupted you both emotionally and financially. But Michael, you've raised an incredible son. That's worth more than any medical bill. I just want to give him stability, a future. That's exactly what this opportunity is, a future for both of you." That night, after Tyler went to bed, Michael stood at their apartment window looking out at the city lights. He thought about his own father, who'd worked 3 jobs to provide for their family after Michael's mother left. He thought about the values his father had instilled in him: honesty, hard work, and never passing by someone in need. He'd kept those values even when it hurt, even when he had nothing to give. And somehow, impossibly, those same values had brought him this opportunity. The next morning he called Sarah. "I accept. Wonderful. I'll have the contracts drawn up immediately. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning, say 10 a.m.? "Actually," Michael said, "tomorrow is Tyler's birthday. We hadn't planned much. Money's been tight." "I understand. How about we make it Thursday then?" "And Michael?" "Yes? Happy early birthday to Tyler. I'll have our legal team expedite everything so the signing bonus can be processed quickly. No 9-year-old should worry about their future on their birthday." Wednesday arrived bright and cold. Michael had managed to fix the remote-controlled car, and Mrs. Rodriguez had insisted on making Tyler's favorite meal, enchiladas with rice and beans. Tyler seemed content with the small celebration, not knowing his father had spent the night worrying about how to stretch their remaining $3 through the week. Just as they finished dinner, the doorbell rang. Michael opened it to find a delivery man holding a large box. Delivery for Tyler Henderson? Tyler's eyes went wide. For me? Inside the box was an elaborate remote-controlled car track set, complete with loops, jumps, and electronic timing sensors. The card read, "To Tyler. Looking forward to having you as my consultation engineer at our new shop. Happy birthday." Sarah Tyler shrieked with joy, immediately beginning to set up the track on their small living room floor. Michael stood holding the card, emotions washing over him. Mrs. Rodriguez touched his arm. God sends angels, Michael. Sometimes they drive red Mustangs in snowstorms. Thursday morning, Michael arrived at Chen & Associates investment firm wearing his best shirt, the one he saved for job interviews and church. The office occupied the top 3 floors of a downtown building, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the entire city. Sarah's assistant led him to a conference room where a man in an expensive suit was reviewing documents. "Michael, this is James Bennett, our head of legal. He'll walk you through the contracts." The next hour passed in a blur of technical language and explanations about profit sharing, expansion clauses, and performance benchmarks. Michael signed where indicated, trying to absorb the reality that his life was changing with each signature. Finally, Sarah slid a cashier's check across the table. The amount made Michael's head spin. "The signing bonus," she explained. "We've calculated it to cover all your outstanding debts, with some left over for improvements to your home, and a small savings fund for Tyler's education." Michael stared at the check, his eyes burning. "I don't know how to thank you. You already have. Your integrity in that parking lot restored my faith in what our company can accomplish. Sometimes the best business decisions are also the right moral decisions." That afternoon, Michael and Tyler visited the bank together. The teller smiled as she processed the check, and Tyler watched in fascination as his father set up separate accounts, one for the business, one for savings, and one for Tyler's college fund. "We're really going to have our own shop?" Tyler asked for the 100th time. "We really are, buddy, and you're going to be the most important part of it." Over the following weeks, Michael threw himself into preparing the new business. He worked alongside contractors renovating the building, selected equipment with Sarah's financial team, and hired his former co-workers who'd also been laid off from Mitchell's. Sarah proved to be more than just an investor. She became a mentor, teaching Michael about business management, cash flow, and customer retention strategies. She also became something of a family friend, joining them for dinner occasionally and taking a genuine interest in Tyler's schoolwork and activities. "You know," she said one evening over takeout Chinese food, "I never told you what really happened that night, why I was so upset in the parking lot." Michael and Tyler looked up from their Kung Pao chicken. "My father founded our investment firm 40 years ago," Sarah continued. "He built it on the principle of investing in people as much as businesses. But lately, we'd been focused only on returns, on numbers. I'd lost sight of why I came into the family business. That night, I just left a board meeting where we'd turned down funding for a small family restaurant because the profit projections weren't high enough." "The Rodriguezes?" Tyler interrupted. "That's Mrs. Rodriguez's family. She makes the best." "Enchiladas," Sarah smiled. "Well, we're reconsidering that application and several others like it." "Michael, you reminded me that sometimes the best investments are the ones that make a difference in people's lives, not just our bank accounts." Michael reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "You saved us that night, in more ways than one." The business preparation continued into spring. Michael named the shop Henderson Auto Care at Sarah's insistence, though she arranged for "Powered by Chen and Associates" to appear in smaller letters below. On opening day, the mayor cut the ribbon while local news cameras recorded the ceremony. Tyler stood proudly between Michael and Sarah, wearing a miniature mechanic's uniform that Sarah had specially made for him. "This isn't just a new business opening," the mayor said in his speech. "This is about community, about neighbors helping neighbors, about remembering that our success is measured not just in dollars, but in the difference we make in each other's lives." The shop thrived from day one. Michael's reputation for honest work spread quickly, and soon they had a steady stream of customers. Tyler did his homework in the office after school, occasionally helping with simple tasks and charming customers with his enthusiasm. 6 months after opening, on a warm July evening, Michael and Sarah sat on the steps of the shop after closing, watching Tyler practice skateboard tricks in the empty parking lot. "You know what the best part is?" Michael asked. "What's that?" "Tyler doesn't remember what it feels like to worry about money, to watch me stress about bills. He has a childhood now, normal problems like mastering skateboard tricks instead of wondering if we'll make rent." "You gave him that," Sarah said, "not me. We gave it to him, together. That snowstorm brought us together for a reason." Sarah leaned back, looking up at the sky as it turned orange and pink. "My father used to say that life puts people in our path for a purpose. Sometimes it's to test us, sometimes it's to save us, sometimes it's to change us. Sometimes it's all three. Which were you for me? I think you were all three for me too." That night, after dropping Tyler off at home, Michael drove to the cemetery where his wife was buried. He knelt at her headstone, brushing away some leaves. "I wish you could see Tyler now," he said softly. "He's growing so fast. Happy, confident. We found our way, Maria. It wasn't easy, but we found our way." The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment Michael could almost imagine it was her answering. By the first anniversary of Henderson Auto Care's opening, the business had exceeded all projections. Michael had moved Tyler and himself into a small house with a backyard. Mrs. Rodriguez now managed the shop's scheduling, while her husband's restaurant received a significant investment from Chen and Associates. Sarah had become a regular fixture in their lives, joining them for Sunday dinners and Tyler's soccer games. One evening, as they sat on Michael's new back porch watching Tyler catch fireflies, she said something that would stay with Michael forever. "You know, that night in the snowstorm, I almost didn't get out of my car. I was going to call Uber and wait inside, but something made me get out and try to find help myself. Lucky for me that you did. Lucky for both of us. Sometimes I think about how close we came to missing each other entirely, how many other life-changing moments we might miss because we choose comfort over courage." "Speaking of courage," Michael said, reaching into his pocket, "I've been meaning to ask you something." He pulled out a small jewelry box. Inside was a simple diamond ring, not expensive by Sarah's standards, but bought with honest money earned together. "I know this might seem fast to some people," he began, "but I've learned that life doesn't wait for perfect timing. You changed our lives, Sarah, not just with money, but with belief, with trust, with love. I'd be honored if you'd take a chance on me one more time." Sarah's eyes filled with tears as she looked at the ring. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely, yes." Tyler's whoop from the backyard told them he'd been listening. He ran over and hugged them both. "Does this mean Sarah's going to be my mom?" "If that's okay with you," Sarah said, kneeling to his level. "It's perfect," Tyler said, "just like everything else." As they sat together under the stars that night, planning their future, Michael thought about how a single moment of choosing to help a stranger in a snowstorm had led to this, to family, to security, to love. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness grow into the greatest gifts of all, The wind picked up, carrying the scent of summer flowers, and somewhere in the distance he could hear the familiar sound of an engine needing a tune-up. Tomorrow, he'd be back at the shop, working alongside his staff, teaching Tyler about carburetors and timing belts, and building the life they all deserved. But tonight was for gratitude, for love, and for the understanding that sometimes when you fix someone else's broken-down car, you end up fixing your own broken-down life. 3 years had passed since that fateful snowstorm, and Lancaster had seen more changes than just the thriving auto shop on Main Street. The morning sun painted golden streaks across the shop's new glass storefront as Michael arrived early, as he did every day. The metallic blue sign reading Henderson Auto Care, powered by Chen and Associates, gleamed in the dawn light. Inside, the familiar sounds of early morning preparation filled the air. The hiss of the coffee maker, the soft whir of diagnostic, computers booting up, the gentle tap of keyboards as the scheduling system came online. Michael moved through his morning routine with practiced efficiency, checking the work orders Mrs. Rodriguez had prepared the night before. Mr. Henderson? Tommy Sanders, their newest apprentice, poked his head through the office door. That 78 Pontiac Firebird is here for the engine rebuild. Tell them to bring her into Bay 3. We'll start with compression tests after the morning meeting. Michael smiled, remembering when he'd been Tommy's age, eager to touch every car that rolled through the shop doors. The morning briefing gathered his team of 5 mechanics, a diverse group he'd handpicked over the past 3 years. Each brought different strengths, but all shared the same commitment to quality work that had built the shop's reputation. Before we dive into today's workload, Michael announced, I've got news. Sarah's coming back from her Boston conference this afternoon. She's bringing someone from the state's Small Business Development Office. They're interested in our model. They finally figured out the secret sauce. Maria Espinoza, their transmission specialist, grinned. Treat customers like family and fix their cars right the first time? Revolutionary concept, isn't it? Michael returned the smile, but his mind was already calculating. The state's interest meant potential expansion opportunities, but also scrutiny. Everything had to be perfect. The morning flew by in a blur of diagnostics, repairs, and customer consultations. Michael's hands moved with practiced precision as he addressed a timing belt issue on a Honda Odyssey. The customer, Janet Palmer, chatted nervously nearby. My daughter's graduation is tomorrow, she explained for the 3rd time. We're driving to Philadelphia, and I can't risk breaking down on the highway. You won't, Michael assured her, his voice steady with confidence. This timing belt was due for replacement at 90,000 miles. Good thing you caught it when you did. We'll have you road ready by 3 p.m. Janet visibly relaxed. You know, my brother recommended you. He said you treated him like family when his Jeep broke down on Christmas Eve last year. Michael remembered. He'd stayed late on Christmas Eve to help Tom Palmer get to his family, refusing extra pay for the holiday work. It was moments like these that validated the shop's philosophy. By lunch, the shop was humming with efficient chaos. Tyler, now 11 and showing an aptitude for diagnostics, worked alongside Tommy on a brake replacement. Michael watched with pride as his son explained concepts to the apprentice with the same patience Michael had shown him. You've got a patient teacher here, Tommy remarked, as Tyler guided him through the proper talk sequence. Patience is everything in this business, Tyler replied, sounding remarkably like his father. Every rush leads to a mistake, and every mistake costs trust. The delivery truck arrived at 1:30, bringing the special order parts for premium repairs. Among the packages was one addressed directly to Michael, a wooden box with unfamiliar customs labels. Inside lay a beautifully crafted set of precision tools, each piece bearing the inscription, For the mentor who saves lives by saving broken things, from your friends in Berlin. Attached was a note. Herr Henderson, our shop in Berlin, asked me to contact you. The video of your shop's anniversary celebration reached us through the internet. Your philosophy mirrors our own family business started by my grandfather after the war. We'd be honored to initiate a tool exchange program between our shops. Klaus Weber, Master Mechanic, Weber Automobile Service. Michael held the note in carefully, struck by how far their reputation had traveled. A ripple started by helping one stranger now reached across an ocean. International fan mail. Mrs. Rodriguez peered over his shoulder, her reading glasses perched at the end of her nose. More like professional kinship. I'll need to video call them later. Time zones are tricky, but connections like these are worth the effort. The afternoon brought a different kind of challenge. A sleek Tesla Model S pulled into the lot, its owner clearly skeptical about an independent shop handling such advanced technology. David Wu emerged from the driver's seat, his designer suit marking him as one of Lancaster's successful tech entrepreneurs. "I'm only here because our regular Tesla service center has a 2-month wait," he said, not bothering with pleasantries. "The car's throwing 2 different error codes, and I need it fixed by Monday for a meeting in Harrisburg." Michael nodded, pulling out his iPad to log the issue. "May I ask about the specific codes?" "Drivetrain error and something about the thermal management system." David crossed his arms, clearly expecting Michael to admit defeat. "Our regular tech says Teslas are too sophisticated for general mechanics. Would you mind if I ran a diagnostic scan before making any decisions about our capabilities?" Michael kept his tone professional, without a trace of defensiveness. David sighed but acquiesced. "Fine, but I'm telling you it's probably beyond your equipment." 20 minutes later, Michael returned with a printed analysis that made David's eyebrows raise. The drivetrain error is actually caused by a software glitch in the battery management system. A simple reset usually resolves it, but your model has a known issue with Module 7B that sometimes requires a parameter adjustment. Michael handed over the printout. "The thermal management issue is more serious. There's a coolant leak in the circuit connecting batteries in the front half of the vehicle." David studied the detailed diagrams and data, his expression shifting from skepticism to surprise. "How did you—" "We invested in Tesla-specific diagnostic equipment last year, and Marisol, our master tech, completed her certification in electric vehicle systems." Michael gestured towards the tall woman now approaching. "She used to work at the Detroit Auto Show, helping automakers demonstrate their latest EV technology." "It's actually a fascinating cooling system," Marisol chimed in. "The way Tesla routes coolant through individual battery cells for thermal regulation is brilliant, but the seals at junction point B7 have a 3% failure rate after 50,000 miles. Your car has 51,300 miles, so the timing fits." David looked between them, then slowly pulled out his phone. "I need to make a call." He dialed, stepping away briefly before returning. "I just canceled my appointment at the service center." "When can you start?" "Immediately. But I want to set expectations. The software reset we can handle today. The coolant repair requires parts ordered directly from Tesla, 2 to 3 days. Can you provide a loaner vehicle? We partner with Enterprise. Rent a car for our customers. They're 3 blocks away." As David departed in his rental, Michael noticed Dr. Patricia Morgan entering the shop with her teenage daughter Emily. He recognized the signs of a difficult conversation brewing. Emily's tear-stained face and Patricia's tight jaw spoke volumes. "Dr. Morgan, what brings you in today?" "My car's fine. My daughter needs community service hours for her juvenile court requirements." Patricia's voice carried both frustration and resignation. "The judge suggested automotive work might teach responsibility." Emily slouched against the wall, piercing blue eyes fixed on the floor. "This is so dumb. I don't know anything about cars." Michael exchanged glances with Tyler, who had quietly joined them. "Tyler, remember when you thought changing oil was impossible?" Yeah, until Dad showed me it's just following steps carefully, like cooking but messier. Emily, what do you know about cooking? Michael asked. She shrugged. I make breakfast for myself every morning. My mom's always at the hospital. Mechanics is a lot like cooking. Precise measurements, proper timing, and knowing when something's not right by how it sounds, or looks, or feels. Michael grabbed 2 shop aprons. Tyler, think you could teach our new apprentice the basics of oil changes? Emily lifted her eyes, curiosity flickering. You'd trust me with cars. We'll start with changing wiper blades, small steps first. That's how everyone learns. Over the next hour, Michael watched Emily transform from sullen to engaged. Tyler proved an excellent teacher, explaining each step without condescension. They worked on her mother's Subaru Forester, Emily's confidence growing with each successfully completed task. Why did you stick around to help my mom in that snowstorm 3 years ago? Emily asked Tyler during a break. She told me about it, how you fixed her friend's car when you didn't have to, because that's what you do, help people when they need it. Tyler handed her a clean rag. My dad says the tools we have are just tools. What matters is what we do with them. Patricia emerged from the office where she'd been making hospital calls. Seeing Emily covered in grease but smiling, her stern expression softened. I haven't seen her this engaged in months, she whispered to Michael. Give her a chance. Sometimes troubled kids just need someone to trust them with real responsibility. The day's final surprise rolled in at 4:30, literally. A pristine 1965 Ford Mustang convertible, gleaming in sunset red, pulled up beside Sarah's BMW. But Sarah stepped out of the Mustang's passenger seat, while the driver was someone Michael hadn't seen in 5 years. Maria. Michael's voice caught in his throat as his former wife, very much alive, emerged from the car. The shop fell silent. Everyone knew Michael was a widower. This woman's presence defied everything they understood about his past. Hello, Michael. Maria's voice carried the same gentle accent he remembered, but her appearance was dramatically different. Her dark hair, once long and flowing, was cropped short in a stylish cut. She wore designer clothes that spoke of success, not the simple dresses he remembered from their marriage. Tyler froze halfway across the shop, toolbox in hand. His eyes darted between his father and the woman who should have been buried in St. Margaret's Cemetery. Tyler, Maria said softly, taking a tentative step forward. You've grown so tall. You're dead, Tyler whispered, his voice small but clear. We go to your grave every month. Dad talks to you about my soccer games in school. Sarah stepped forward, her face etched with concern. Michael, I tried to call ahead, but you were with customers. Maria contacted me last week. She's been in witness protection. The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Witness protection. Not cancer, not death. Protection. I should explain everything, Maria began, her voice trembling. But not here, not like this. I have so many letters I wrote but couldn't send. I never meant for you to think, why did you let us believe you were dead? Michael's question wasn't angry, but hollow with shock. To protect you both. The cartel case I witnessed, they threatened you, Tyler. I made a choice. Tears streamed down her face. The worst choice of my life. The mechanic team quietly slipped away to their stations, pretending to focus on work. While the family drama unfolded, Mrs. Rodriguez crossed herself and murmured a prayer. I should go, Maria said, reading the stunned silence as rejection. I didn't mean to disrupt your life. I just needed you to know I survived. That I never stopped loving either of you. Wait, Michael's command stopped her. 5 years, Maria. 5 years of grief, of explaining to Tyler why his mother wasn't coming home, of building a life on the foundation of your absence. I know. Her voice broke. I've lived with that guilt every single day. Sarah touched Michael's arm gently. Maybe we should continue this conversation somewhere private. There's a coffee shop. No! Tyler's voice, now deeper and stronger, cut through. If Mom's alive, I want to understand why she let us think she wasn't. Why didn't the police tell us? Why didn't anyone tell us? Maria sat down on the shop's waiting area couch, her designer purse clutched tightly. The witness protection program requires complete severance. No contact, no knowledge shared with anyone. They faked my death to make it convincing. Cancer was untraceable, they said. The cartel had to believe I was gone. But why now? Michael sank into the chair opposite her. Why reveal yourself after 5 years? The case finally went to trial 3 months ago. All 7 cartel members received life sentences. My testimony helped convict them. She pulled out a thick envelope from her purse. The U.S. Marshals cleared me to contact you yesterday. I debated whether I should, but I couldn't live another day knowing you believed I abandoned you by choice. Tyler moved closer, his young face struggling to process emotions too complex for his years. Did you miss us? Every single moment, Maria whispered. I have pictures, letters, everything I collected about your lives from a distance. She pulled out her phone, showing photos of the shop, of Tyler's soccer team, of Michael accepting a city award for community service. You've been watching us, through intermediaries. I needed to know you were okay, that Tyler was growing up well, that you moved forward. Her eyes shifted to Sarah. I'm glad you found someone wonderful. Sarah stepped forward with surprising grace. Maria, I can't imagine what you've been through, but Michael and Tyler are my family now. We need to figure out how to handle this revelation together. The evening stretched into night as they talked, moving to a back booth at Mulaney's diner. The conversation meandered through 5 years of lost time. Tyler's first day of middle school, Michael's shop opening, the awards ceremony where the mayor called them Lancaster's model citizens. Maria shared her own journey through witness protection, the isolation, the fear, the guilt. I worked as a hotel night auditor in Phoenix, she explained. They gave me a new identity, Angela Martinez. I couldn't practice nursing, couldn't use any skills that would connect me to my past. I watched Tyler grow through photos and press, clippings, but couldn't even call him by his name. What happens now? Tyler asked the question they'd all been avoiding. That's complicated, Maria admitted. I have a new life in Arizona. My real identity remains classified for 5 more years, as a protection measure, but she hesitated. I've been awarded substantial compensation for my cooperation, and I was given clearance to reunite with my family, if they wanted that. Michael looked at Sarah, then Tyler. This isn't just my decision. We're all affected. That night, after sending Tyler to bed and Sarah to her own apartment to give them space, Michael sat alone in his home office. He held the framed photos of his 2 lives, one with Maria before, one with Sarah and Tyler now. The grief he'd carried had shaped him, motivated him, driven him to build something meaningful from loss. But what did he do with grief that had been based on a lie? His phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. Take all the time you need. Love you. Another from Tyler. I'm confused but glad she's alive, still processing. And one from Maria. Thank you for listening. I'm staying at the Lancaster Hotel for now. No pressure to meet again if it's too difficult. The next morning, the shop operated with a strange energy. Word had somehow spread about Maria's return, and the community rallied in their unique way. Customers expressed support through casseroles, offers to help however needed, and respectful distance from prying questions. Catherine O'Brien, the local newspaper editor, approached Michael during a break replacement. I've heard the rumors. I know Maria personally from her nursing days. Catherine's voice was gentle but firm. I promise no story will run without your explicit approval. The community loves you all too much to invade this private matter. I appreciate that, Catherine. We're still processing everything ourselves. Take your time. The paper can wait. Family matters can't. That afternoon, Tyler surprised Michael by asking to visit Maria alone. I need to understand why she left me. I mean, I get it logically, but my heart needs to hear her explanation too. Michael drove Tyler to the hotel, watching his son's determined stride into the lobby. While he waited, he received a call from Klaus Weber in Berlin. Herr Henderson, I hope my timing is not inconvenient. I wanted to discuss our tool exchange program and perhaps arrange a video conference. The conversation about precision German tools and international workshop collaboration steadied Michael's spinning thoughts. By the time Tyler emerged 2 hours later, his face showed a different kind of peace. She kept a journal for me, Tyler said, sliding into the car. Every major life event written as letters she couldn't send. She drew pictures of how she imagined I looked each year. She's still my mom, but it's complicated. That weekend, Sarah proposed a family dinner, including Maria. We can't move forward without addressing this directly. Avoiding each other won't heal anything. The dinner took place at Sarah's house, carefully neutral territory. Maria arrived with homemade tamales, a family recipe Tyler remembered. The evening began awkwardly, but gradually warmed as shared memories and new stories found common ground. I was at the hospital when Michael proposed, Maria explained to Sarah. Working double shifts to pay for his mechanic certification program. He proposed with a twist tie because he couldn't afford a ring yet. He still has it, Sarah smiled, in his toolbox. He showed it to me when we got engaged. The discovery that both women understood and appreciated Michael's sentimental nature created an unexpected bridge. Tyler, sensing the reduced tension, began sharing school stories that included both his past with Maria and his present with Sarah. Over the following months, a new family dynamic emerged. Maria settled in Lancaster, finding work as a private nurse while waiting for her full identity restoration. She bought a small house 3 blocks from Michael's, close enough for Tyler to visit easily, far enough to maintain boundaries. Sarah proved remarkably graceful in navigating the complex situation. She invited Maria to Tyler's parent-teacher conference, recognizing that the boy needed both maternal figures as he processed his emotions. Your dad was right to move forward, Sarah told Tyler one evening during homework help. Your mom needed him to build a life for you. Now we're all learning how to adjust this life to include her again. The shop also evolved. Maria occasionally brought lunch for the crew, her medical knowledge proving helpful when minor injuries occurred. She established a first aid station in the break room and taught the mechanics basic emergency response. My two worlds meeting was never the plan, Michael reflected to his therapist during one of the sessions he'd started after Maria's return. But life rarely follows our plans. The question is, how to handle what we're given with grace and integrity. 6 months after Maria's return, the shop faced its biggest challenge yet. A massive ice storm hit Lancaster, causing widespread power outages and vehicle damage. Henderson Auto Care became an unofficial emergency center, helping stranded motorists and coordinating with emergency services. Sarah tapped into her business connections to secure generators and supplies. Maria utilized her medical training to assist those injured by the storm. Tyler, working alongside his father, learned about community service beyond the shop's walls. This is what we built the shop for, Michael told his exhausted but dedicated team on the 3rd night of storm response. Not just to fix cars, but to be there when the community needs us most. During a brief lull, Maria found Michael alone in the office, reviewing damage reports for insurance claims. I'm proud of what you built, she said quietly. The shop, the community respect your relationship with Sarah. You didn't just survive. You became someone who saves others. We had to survive, Michael replied. Believing you were gone forced us to create something new. Maybe that was always supposed to happen this way. Does that mean you forgive me for the deception? There's nothing to forgive. You were protecting our son. I need time to fully integrate this reality with the one I built. The storm cleanup lasted weeks, during which the extended family, Michael, Sarah, Tyler, and Maria, functioned as a unit. The community noticed and responded with increased loyalty to the shop. On the first anniversary of Maria's return, a letter arrived from the Department of Justice. Her identity restrictions would be fully lifted in 2 years instead of 5, thanks to the successful prosecution and lack of cartel retaliation threats. What will you do when you can be Maria Henderson again? Tyler asked over dinner. Now, a regular weekly occurrence with all 4 family members. I think I'll keep parts of both identities, Maria mused. Angela Martinez became someone too, someone stronger perhaps, someone who learned to stand alone. We're all changed, Sarah added. The storm brought us together, but we each chose how to respond to that challenge. We chose connection over division. That night, after the dishes were cleared and plans made, for Tyler's upcoming camping trip, Michael stood on his porch watching the stars. Lancaster had settled into a rhythm that included all its complexities, the shop, the community, the blended family that defied conventional definition. His phone buzzed with a message from Klaus Weber. Our apprenticeship exchange program approved. German precision meets American innovation next spring. Another international ripple from a local shop's philosophy. Sometimes the smallest acts of helping one stranger could start waves that circled the globe. And sometimes the greatest losses could transform into the most unexpected gifts, if one chose to remain open to possibility rather than closed by grief. The wind carried the distant sound of a car engine needing attention. Tomorrow he'd be back at the shop, fixing what others couldn't, teaching what he knew, building connections that stretched from Lancaster to Berlin and beyond. But tonight was for gratitude, for the life he'd built on loss, for the love he'd found in kindness, and for the family that had grown large enough to include both the past he'd mourned and the future he'd never expected. The autumn air in Lancaster carried the crisp scent of maple leaves and fresh possibilities as Michael reviewed the International Apprentice Exchange documents spread across his desk. What had started as a tool exchange with Klaus Weber's Berlin shop had evolved into something far more ambitious, a cultural bridge between American and German automotive expertise. Herr Henderson, I bring exciting news. Klaus's voice crackled through the video call. Behind him, the Weber workshop bustled with activity, technicians moving with precision between vintage Mercedes and modern BMWs. My nephew Hans has completed his master certification. He could arrive in January for the 6-month exchange. Excellent. We've prepared the guest apartment above the shop, and our candidate here is equally excited, Emily Morgan. Remember her, the teenager who started as court-ordered community service? Ah, yes, the young lady who asked so many questions during our virtual tour last month. She has remarkable mechanical intuition. Emily had transformed dramatically since that first reluctant afternoon in the shop 2 years ago. Now 17, she'd chosen automotive engineering as her college path, crediting Tyler and Michael with showing her a different future. She's been studying German automotive philosophy, Michael continued, understanding precision versus efficiency. Her approaches, this exchange will be invaluable for her development. As the call ended, a commotion erupted in the main shop. Michael hurried out to find Tyler, attempting to calm a frustrated customer whose vintage Corvette was overheating for the 3rd time. Mr. Thompson, I understand your frustration, Tyler said with mature diplomacy, now 13 and showing leadership beyond his years. But classic car restoration requires patience. That 63 split window requires specific cooling modifications for modern driving conditions. I paid good money for this restoration, Thompson grumbled, but his anger deflated. Under Tyler's knowledgeable response, "Would you like to see what the thermal imaging camera revealed? The original cooling system design had limitations, even when new. We can upgrade to maintain period authenticity while improving function." Michael watched proudly as Tyler explained the solution using both technical knowledge and customer psychology, skills that couldn't be taught from books alone. The day's rhythm shifted when Dr. Patricia Morgan arrived unexpectedly, her usual physician's composure cracking with visible anxiety. "Michael, I need your help. It's not about cars." She glanced around nervously. "It's about Emily's father." In the privacy of his office, Patricia explained, "Emily's father was released from prison last week. He's been calling, demanding to see her. The restraining order expired and Emily's terrified. He's unstable, violent when he drinks. Have you contacted the police? They can't do anything unless he violates specific terms. But I know he's watching the house, following me to work." Her hands shook slightly. "Emily refuses to stop coming here. She says this shop is the first place she's felt truly safe since she was 12. Michael leaned back, processing the weight of responsibility. The shop had become more than a business. It was a sanctuary for broken things and broken people. "We'll increase security measures. I'll notify my team to watch for anyone unusual. And Emily's welcome here any time. Sometimes the best protection is community awareness." That evening, as the shop closed, an unfamiliar pickup truck idled across the street. The driver's face remained obscured, but the vehicle's presence triggered Michael's protective instincts. He discreetly photographed the license plate and called Detective James Rodriguez, Mrs. Rodriguez's son, who'd grown up playing in the shop and now worked in the police department. "I'll run the plates and increase patrols in your area," James promised. "If it's who you think, we'll be ready." The international exchange program launched with impressive fanfare. Hans Weber arrived on a snowy January morning, his lanky frame and wire-rimmed glasses making him appear younger than his 24 years. The media covered the story as Lancaster's first international automotive cultural exchange. In Germany, we say, "Handwork hat golden and Boden. Craftsmanship has a golden foundation." Hans addressed the gathered crowd at the welcome ceremony. "I look forward to learning American innovation while sharing German precision." Emily beamed with excitement as she showed Hans around the shop, explaining their diagnostic systems and customer philosophy. The young German's eyes widened at the integration of modern technology with traditional mechanical skills. "In Berlin, we maintain strict separation of diagnostic equipment and hand tools," he observed. "But your hybrid approach is fascinating." "Wait until you see our custom solution for electric vehicle diagnostics," Emily responded enthusiastically. "We interface directly with manufacturer systems while maintaining our analog-first troubleshooting method." The cultural exchange proved more complex than anticipated. Hans struggled with American customer informality, the casual first-name basis, the expectation of small talk during repairs, the tendency to explain problems with sound effects rather than technical terms. A customer said her car goes clunk, clunk when turning, Hans reported to Michael after his first week. "In Germany, we ask for specific symptoms. How does one diagnose clunk, clunk?" By listening, Michael chuckled. Often customers describe symptoms better than they realize. That clunk-clunk probably indicates worn CV joints or suspension components. We teach our apprentices to translate customer language into mechanical reality. Meanwhile, Emily prepared for her Berlin journey by immersing herself in German language apps and studying European automotive standards. Her father's threatening presence added urgency to her departure plans. One February evening, the threatening presence materialized. Emily's father, Marcus Morgan, appeared at the shop's closing time, clearly intoxicated. His intimidating frame, filled the doorway as the last customers left. "Where's my daughter?" His slurred words carried across the shop. "I know she's here." Tyler immediately activated their newly installed security cameras, while Maria, who'd been helping with evening inventory, positioned herself near the emergency phone. "Mr. Morgan, Emily's not here." Michael stepped forward calmly, positioning himself between Marcus and the workshop. "And you're trespassing on private property. Don't tell me where my kid is. I raised her." "Raised her?" Patricia Morgan's voice cut through the tension. She'd entered quietly through the back door. "You terrified her. Court documents detail your abuse. Emily hasn't spoken to you in 5 years, for good reason." Marcus turned toward his ex-wife, anger flashing in his bloodshot eyes. "You turned her against me, made her choose colleges over family." "I didn't turn her anywhere. She ran from your violence to find safety here." The confrontation escalated. Quickly, Marcus grabbed a wrench from a nearby workbench, his intentions unclear but threatening. Hans, despite his unfamiliarity with American conflict resolution, stepped forward with surprising diplomatic skill. "Herr Morgan," he addressed, "informally, in Germany we have a saying, ein kluger Mann kämpft nicht mit Werkzeugen, a wise man doesn't fight with tools. Perhaps we discuss this like rational people." The unexpected interruption, combined with Hans's thick accent and earnest expression, momentarily confused Marcus. Detective James Rodriguez chose that moment to arrive, having been alerted by the shop's alarm system. "Mr. Morgan, you're violating your parole terms. Put down the tool and step outside." The situation diffused without violence, but the incident left everyone shaken. Emily, watching from the security office where she'd hidden, broke down in tears. "He almost hurt you all because of me," she sobbed. "No." Sarah, who'd arrived during the commotion, pulled Emily into a hug. "He revealed his own character. You revealed yours by building something here with people who care about you. There's no comparison." The incident strengthened the shop's family dynamic. Hans began treating Emily like a younger sister, teaching her German curse words that mechanics allegedly used in Berlin workshops. Their friendship evolved into a professional mentorship that would influence both their careers. As spring approached, the shop faced unprecedented growth. The international publicity, combined with their reputation for integrity, brought customers from surrounding states. Michael found himself managing not just a business, but a movement promoting ethical automotive care. "We've received 3 more partnership requests," Sarah reported during their weekly business meeting. "1 from San Francisco, 2 from the East Coast. They want to implement our shop's philosophy in their markets. But we're not about franchising," Michael replied. "We're about community connection, treating each customer as family." "Agreed, but what if we could train other shop owners in our methods, a consultancy rather than franchise?" The idea took root. By summer, the Henderson Method, a comprehensive training program for automotive shop management and customer relations, began taking shape. Hans and Emily's exchange experiences provided valuable insights into adapting methods across cultural contexts. Meanwhile, Tyler's mechanical intuition continued developing in remarkable ways. He diagnosed obscure problems by sensing vibrations. Others missed, caught warning signs in engine sounds that escaped experienced technicians. His gift worried Michael. Such sensitivity often came at an emotional cost. "Tyler, remember what I taught you about boundaries," Michael advised one evening after Tyler spent his lunch break consoling an elderly widow whose beloved Cadillac needed extensive repairs she couldn't afford. "But Mrs. Harrison needs this car to visit her sister in the nursing home. It's their only connection." "I know, son, and we'll find a solution. But absorbing everyone's pain will burn you out before you're 20. The shop quietly developed a sliding scale payment system and a parts for skills exchange program. Tyler helped organize it, matching customers' abilities with shop needs, accounting help for brake jobs, catering services for tire rotations, tutoring Tyler in weak subjects for transmission work. Emily's departure for Berlin approached with mixed emotions. Her father's arrest for violating parole brought relief, but also complex feelings about family obligation. The night before her flight, the shop threw a surprise farewell party. "I won't recognize you when you return," Tyler teased, presenting a hand-drawn comic depicting Emily as a German automotive superhero. "I'll still be the girl who showed up here with attitude and zero's coordination," Emily laughed, but tears glistened. "You all saved me from a path that would have ended badly." Klaus Weber joined via video call from Berlin. "We've prepared Hannah's old room for you, Emily. She's excited to show you proper German breakfast traditions and proper German shop traditions," Hans added. "Prepare for precision timing and philosophical discussions about torque specifications." The exchange deepened both shops' cultural understanding. Emily's reports from Berlin revealed operational differences that sparked innovations in Lancaster. Meanwhile, Hans's adaptation to American flexibility led Weber Workshop to experiment with more customer-centric approaches. "In Berlin, I learned that efficiency and empathy aren't opposites," Hans explained during one of his technical seminars, attracting mechanics from across Pennsylvania. The German respect for craftsmanship, combined with American innovation in customer care, creates revolutionary potential. By autumn, the shop's influence extended beyond automotive repair. Michael's expertise was sought for community development projects. The mayor appointed him to the Small Business Development Committee, recognizing how Henderson Auto Care had become a model for ethical enterprise. The international connections multiplied. Shops in Tokyo, Melbourne, and Cape Town reached out, drawn by the philosophy of treating strangers like family while maintaining technical excellence. What started with helping one stranded motorist had spawned a global network of mechanics united by values rather than just techniques. Tyler's 13th birthday brought unexpected revelations. Maria, now fully reintegrated into Lancaster society as herself, arranged a video call with extended family in Mexico, relatives who'd believed she'd died years ago. Tia Maria. Cousins, aunts and uncles crowded the screen, tears flowing. Freely as 5 years of loss transformed into reunion, Tyler, seeing his mother's vibrant extended family for the first time, realized how much heritage had been hidden by circumstances. "Your grandmother wants to meet you," Maria translated, as an elderly woman pushed forward on the screen. "She never stopped praying for your protection." The emotional call lasted hours, with Tyler learning Spanish phrases and family stories that filled gaps in his identity. Later, Sarah found him quietly crying in the shop's break room. "It's not sad crying," he clarified, "just overwhelming. I thought knowing Mom was alive would answer everything, but it opened new questions." That's growth, Tyler. Answers often lead to bigger questions. The important thing is facing them with people who care about you. As winter approached, Emily returned from Berlin transformed. Her German had improved dramatically, but more significantly, her confidence radiated from within. She presented innovative diagnostic techniques learned abroad and proposed introducing a European-style apprenticeship ranking system. In Germany, mechanics earn colored patches for their skills, she explained to the assembled staff. White for basic, red for intermediate, gold for master level. It creates pride in progression. The shop implemented a modified version, celebrating each mechanic's expertise areas with distinct recognition. The system improved morale and attracted ambitious apprentices from the local vocational school. Hans extended his exchange indefinitely, having fallen in love not just with American automotive culture, but with Lancaster's sense of community. His parents, understanding the opportunity, blessed his decision to remain. My mother says I should open Weber Werkstatt here, Hans confided. To Michael. A true German shop with an American heart, would that compete with you? Competition assumes scarcity, Michael replied. Lancaster needs more honest mechanics. Build your shop with integrity, and we'll both thrive. The community's big enough for multiple ethical businesses. The year ended with the shop's most ambitious project yet, restoring a 1952 Mercedes-Benz 300S for the local history museum. The car had belonged to a German immigrant family who'd helped rebuild Lancaster after World War II. Finding parts required international connections Hans had maintained, while the restoration demanded techniques spanning 3 generations of mechanics. This isn't just fixing a car, Michael explained to the museum's board. It's preserving a story of cultural bridges, of skills passed between nations, of communities built through shared purpose. The restoration became a teaching project, with high school students documenting the process, history teachers connecting it to post-war reconstruction, and mechanical students learning techniques no longer taught in modern curriculums. On New Year's Eve, as the shop family gathered for their annual celebration, Michael reflected on the transformation 5 years had brought. The girl who'd arrived for court-ordered service had become a skilled technician heading to university. The wounded boy processing his mother's death had grown into a young man creating solutions for customer problems. His own remarriage had expanded to embrace Maria's return, creating a family that defied traditional definition. Remember when you thought helping that stranger was just another good deed? Sarah reminisced, her arm around Michael as they watched Tyler and Emily demonstrate diagnostic techniques to impress shop visitors. I was just following my father's teachings, Michael replied. Help when you can, fix what's broken, treat strangers with dignity. And look what sprouted from that simple philosophy. An international network of ethical mechanics, a community, revival, lives changed across continents. She squeezed his hand. The ripples keep spreading. As midnight approached, Michael gathered everyone for a toast. Mechanics, family, international visitors and community members crowded into the main shop bay, glasses raised beneath the now famous blue Henderson Auto Care sign. To another year of fixing what's broken, cars, hearts and communities. 2 bridges built between strangers, skills shared across oceans, and kindness replicated in unexpected places, and to remember that sometimes the greatest achievements start with the simplest acts of helping someone in need. The cheers echoed through the shop, carrying promises of more stories to come, more lives to touch, more mechanical challenges to master together. Outside, the first snow of the new year began falling, each flake a reminder that beauty often emerges from storms, and the best journeys begin with unexpected weather-changing plans. The restored Mercedes gleamed in the corner, its chrome reflecting the celebration like a mirror to the past and future. Like the car, the shop had been carefully rebuilt, its function improved while honoring its original purpose. And like the car, it carried stories of transformation, resilience, and the power of skilled hands working together toward common purpose. As the party continued, Michael slipped outside for a moment of reflection. The city lights twinkled beyond. The snow, each window representing another family, another story, another potential connection waiting to be made. He thought of that snowstorm night years ago, when a simple act of kindness had set this entire journey in motion. The wind carried promises of more challenges ahead, more opportunities to help, more lives to touch through the humble work of automotive repair. And Michael smiled, ready to face whatever tomorrow's storms might bring, knowing that every broken car was potentially another life waiting to be repaired. The cycle would continue. Strangers becoming family, skills creating connections, and small acts of kindness generating waves of change that crossed oceans and generations. This was the true power of the mechanic's gift, not just fixing machines, but healing communities, one unexpected friendship at a time. As the celebration moved back inside, Michael touched the wooden German tools Klaus had sent years ago, now hanging proudly on the shop wall. They represented more than international friendship. They symbolized the endless possibilities that emerge when people choose connection over isolation, generosity over self-preservation, and community over competition. The story of Henderson Autocare would continue weaving through Lancaster and beyond, each chapter starting with someone new walking through those glass doors, bringing their challenges, their dreams, and their potential contribution to this ever-expanding family of fixers, helpers, and believers in the power of mechanical compassion. And somewhere in the snow-dusted night, another stranger was probably dealing with car trouble. Another opportunity was waiting to unfold, another life ready to be touched by the simple act of choosing to help when no one would fault you for driving away. The cycle continued. The story grew, and somewhere in Berlin, Tokyo, and countless cities following the Henderson method, mechanics were learning that the most important diagnostic tool wasn't in their toolbox, it was in their heart. The summer heat shimmered off the asphalt as Michael surveyed the construction site next door to Henderson Autocare. What had once been a vacant lot now buzzed with workers erecting steel beams that would become the Henderson Institute of Automotive Excellence. His most ambitious project yet. "Papa, the mayor just approved the vocational school partnership," Tyler called out, jogging across the parking lot. At 17, he'd grown to nearly match his father's height, his voice carrying the confident timbre of someone who'd found his calling early. "That means 15 high school seniors can earn dual credit next semester." Michael nodded approvingly. His son's initiative in proposing the partnership had impressed educators across Lancaster County. Construction foreman Diane Walsh approached with blueprints. "We're ready to pour the foundation for the diagnostic lab, but there's been a development." She paused, choosing words carefully. "Chen and Associates received an offer from a national auto service chain. They want to buy exclusive franchise rights to the Henderson method." Michael's stomach tightened. The philosophy he'd cultivated, treating customers like family while maintaining technical excellence, had attracted attention from corporate giants seeking to replicate success without understanding its foundation. "How much are they offering?" "7 figures, for you and Sarah both." Diane watched his reaction closely. "But the exclusivity clause would prevent any other shops from training under your system." Inside the main shop, life continued its predictable rhythm. Marisol supervised 3 apprentices diagnosing a mysterious electrical fault in a Volvo SUV. Hans Weber, now a permanent fixture, explained European safety regulations to visiting mechanics from Ohio. Maria coordinated the medical screening. Program for elderly customers, a service born from Tyler's compassion for Mrs. Harrison years ago. The afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. A black limousine glided into the parking lot, drawing curious looks from customers and staff. A distinguished Asian woman emerged, her tailored suit and confident bearing marking her as someone significant. "Mr. Henderson," she extended her hand. "I'm Jane Chen, Sarah's cousin. I've come to discuss the franchise offer in person." Over coffee in Michael's office, Jane outlined the corporation's vision. Henderson Autocare could become a national brand, potentially reaching thousands of communities with ethical automotive service. "Think of the lives you could impact," she urged. "Instead of training dozens of mechanics, you could influence thousands. The corporate funding would accelerate your mission." "At what cost?" Michael asked, studying the detailed contract she'd brought. "The exclusivity clause would prevent us from directly helping other shop owners who want to improve. It creates scarcity where we've tried to create abundance. Jane leaned forward. I understand your hesitation, but consider Tyler's generation. They'll inherit a world where small businesses struggle against corporate efficiency. This offer gives you leverage to shape corporate culture from within. Later that evening, Michael found Tyler in the shop's new electric vehicle bay, calibrating a diagnostic system for hybrid powertrains. The teen worked with precision that reminded Michael of watching his own father tune carburetors. Heads up, Michael called, entering the bay. We need to discuss something important. He explained the franchise offer's implications. Tyler listened intently, occasionally nodding as he connected dots between business strategy and community. Impact. Remember when we restored the Mercedes for the museum? Tyler asked when Michael finished. You said preserving something authentic matters more than making copies that look similar but miss the soul. I did say that. This feels the same. They want the Henderson name without understanding what makes us different. Tyler set down his diagnostic tablet. When Emily comes back from her mechanical engineering degree next month, she's planning to implement AI-enhanced diagnostics here first. If we go corporate, would they even let us innovate like that? Their conversation was interrupted by Emily's unexpected early return. She burst through the shop doors wearing a Michigan State University engineering jacket, her arms full of technical equipment. Surprise! I defended my thesis early and caught the first flight. Her grin faded slightly. But from everyone's faces I'm sensing drama. Over the next hour, the shop's core family, Michael, Sarah, Tyler, Emily, Hans, Maria, and Marisol, gathered in the expanded break room. Emily's thesis work on machine learning for predictive maintenance sparked intense discussion about the shop's future direction. The corporate world moves slowly, Emily explained, setting up her laptop. My research shows independent shops can adopt emerging technologies 5 times faster than corporate chains, but we need resources. Sarah reviewed financial projections she'd prepared. The franchise money could fund Emily's AI project and expand the institute. But accepting means signing away our freedom to help other shops implement similar systems. There's another option, Hans suggested, his slight accent adding weight to his words. The European Union has cooperative business models where competing businesses pool resources while maintaining independence. No franchise, but shared development costs. The discussion continued late into the night, with pizza boxes accumulating and ideas flowing freely. By dawn, a different path emerged. Not franchise, but fellowship. The Henderson Automotive Cooperative was born 3 months later. Instead of selling exclusivity, Michael and Sarah created a network where independent shops could access training, technology, and support while maintaining their unique community connections. We're not selling the method, Michael announced at the launch ceremony. We're sharing the journey. Any shop committed to integrity and excellence can join without surrendering their independence. The first 20 cooperative members represented diverse communities across America, from inner-city Detroit to rural Montana. Each brought unique challenges and perspectives that enriched the collective knowledge. Emily's AI diagnostic system proved revolutionary. Machine learning algorithms analyzed repair patterns, predicted component failures, and suggested preventive maintenance tailored to each vehicle's actual usage rather than manufacturer schedules. Traditional service intervals assume average use, Emily presented to fascinated mechanics. Our system tracks how each car is actually driven, stop and go versus highway, climate conditions, driving style. It's like having a personal mechanic who knows your car's life story. Tyler's role evolved from apprentice to liaison. His emotional intelligence helped bridge gaps between technical innovation and community needs. When introducing new systems, he focused on stories rather than statistics, Mrs. Chen from the flower shop had her engine rebuilt 3 times in 2 years, he'd explain. With predictive maintenance, we caught the actual problem. A faulty sensor causing an incorrect fuel mixture. 1 fix versus 3 rebuilds. That's not just savings, that's trust preserved. The cooperative model attracted international attention. Klaus Weber's contact in Stuttgart led to a partnership with Mercedes-Benz's small business initiative. Unlike corporate franchising, this allowed cultural exchange while respecting local autonomy. German engineering meeting American customer service, Hans proudly announced as the first cooperative shop in Frankfurt joined the network. We're proving that profit and purpose can coexist globally. Meanwhile, the institute flourished under Sarah's strategic guidance. She transformed it from a training center into a research hub where mechanics collaborated with engineers to solve industry-wide challenges. Electric vehicles are just the beginning, Sarah told a visiting delegation from the Department of Energy. We're developing protocols for hydrogen fuel cell maintenance, sustainable shop practices, and bridging the skills gap as combustion engines phase out. That transition created unexpected opportunities. The local coal plant closure left hundreds unemployed, but the county commissioner approached Michael with a proposal. Your retraining program helped Emily find purpose, Commissioner Patricia Morgan said during a private meeting. Could you design something similar for displaced energy workers? The result was the Green Collar Initiative. Former power plant workers, many with transferable mechanical and electrical skills, began training for careers in electric vehicle maintenance and renewable energy integration for vehicles. I've been welding pipes for 30 years, said former plant worker Robert Jenkins. Never thought that skill would help me maintain Tesla charging stations and diagnose EV battery systems. Tyler helped develop the curriculum, understanding instinctively how to connect workers' existing knowledge to new applications. His empathy, once a concern, became an asset in helping adults navigate career transition fears. Your father worried. You felt too much, Maria observed one evening, after Tyler spent 3 hours helping a displaced worker understand battery chemistry. But that feeling is what makes you connect complex ideas to real people. The cooperative's success attracted unwanted attention. The same corporation that had offered to buy franchise rights now attempted hostile competition. They opened AutoFix locations near cooperative members, using aggressive pricing and marketing to undercut the community-focused approach. They're losing money to prove a point, Sarah analyzed the competitors' moves. Their parent company can absorb losses while trying to starve us out. This is about eliminating our model, not serving customers. The challenge galvanized the cooperative. Members implemented customer education campaigns, explaining how the corporate model's low prices came at the cost of quality parts, rushed service, and commission-driven recommendations. We're not just fixing cars, cooperative shops explained. We're maintaining community relationships. When your car breaks down at midnight, who answers your call? The person you know, or a call center 3 states away. Emily's AI system proved crucial in this battle. It provided transparent diagnostics that customers could understand, countering the corporate shop's tendency to recommend unnecessary services. Here's what your car actually needs, mechanics could show customers on tablets. And here's the data explaining why. No pressure, no hidden fees, just information for you to make decisions. The corporate competition reached a climax when AutoFix attempted to hire away Hans Weber with a lucrative executive position. The offer included a significant budget to replicate the cooperative's technology for their chain. Hans's response became legendary in automotive circles. During a packed community meeting, he addressed the corporate representatives directly. You offer me a title and money to recreate what we've built. But you misunderstand. This isn't software to copy. This is culture cultivated over years. These hands, he held up his calloused palms, earned these scars helping strangers at 2 a.m. Your shareholders don't measure that value. The community rallied visibly behind Hans's words. Autofix's stores began struggling as customers chose relationships over discounts. Within 6 months, the corporation withdrew from direct competition, choosing to coexist rather than confront. We changed their calculus, Sarah explained to business students studying the case. We proved that community loyalty, when earned, authentically creates sustainable advantage over venture-funded competition. The victory brought unexpected recognition. Michael received invitations to speak at conferences worldwide about building ethical enterprises. But he declined most, preferring to work directly with cooperative members facing similar challenges. The best teaching happens in the trenches, he told his family. Corporate conferences want the theory. Our members need practical solutions for their specific communities. Tyler's high school graduation approached with multiple early college acceptances. Stanford offered a full scholarship for mechanical engineering. MIT beckoned with their prestigious program. But Tyler's announcement surprised no one who knew him well. I'm staying local for now, he told the assembled family and shop staff. The community college has partnered with us to create an automotive technology degree. I want to help build that program while learning hands-on here. Emily had taken a similar path, returning to Lancaster after her master's degree to implement her research rather than pursuing a PhD. The two young engineers formed a dynamic team, pushing the shop's technical capabilities while maintaining its community soul. We're first-generation automotive technologists, Emily coined the phrase describing their approach. We bridge the gap between traditional mechanics and computerized systems, but never at the expense of human connection. Their innovation attracted venture capital attention, but they learned from watching Michael navigate corporate overtures. Instead, they established the Automotive Innovation Fund, a community-supported initiative where local residents could invest directly in the shop's technology development. Why let distant shareholders profit from our community's innovation? Tyler explained during the fund's launch. Lancaster residents who support our vision should share in the returns. The fund's first major success came from an unexpected breakthrough. Working late one night, Tyler noticed a correlation pattern in the AI diagnostic data that existing systems missed. Dad, I think we've stumbled on predicting transmission failures weeks before they happen, he excitedly explained his discovery. Small vibration changes combined with specific shift pattern anomalies create a signature we can catch early. The innovation saved countless customers from catastrophic transmission failures, but rather than patent the technology for profit, the cooperative open-sourced it, making it freely available to any mechanic worldwide. Innovations in safety should be gifts, not commodities, Michael declared when questioned about the decision's economics. We're building a legacy, not protecting intellectual property. This philosophy extended to the next generation of challenges. As climate change intensified, Lancaster faced unprecedented flooding from severe storms. The shop became a disaster response hub, using their lift capacity to rescue stranded vehicles and their diagnostic equipment to assess flood damage for insurance claims. We're not just mechanics anymore, Marisol observed during one particularly intense recovery period. We're community infrastructure. When disasters strike, people look to us for solutions beyond automotive. The realization led to expanded training. Shop staff learned emergency response protocols, water damage assessment, and how to prioritize repairs for essential workers during crises. A teacher can't wait 2 weeks for their car. Tyler developed the triage system. Healthcare workers, emergency responders, they keep the community functioning. We've got to sequence repairs by community impact, not just arrival order. This approach attracted national attention when a documentary crew arrived to profile the cooperative model, but Michael insisted they focus on stories, not accolades. Film Mrs. Rodriguez using predictive maintenance to keep her food delivery business running, he directed them. Show how the Green Collar Initiative helped former coal workers find purpose, capture the real transformation. The documentary's broadcast brought an unexpected flood of visitors seeking to replicate success, but Michael and Sarah had developed a careful vetting process. Not every shop could join the cooperative. We're not about expanding members, Michael explained to disappointed applicants. We're about expanding impact. If you're not ready to prioritize community over profit, we're not ready to share our resources. This selectivity maintained the cooperative's integrity, but created a waiting list of aspiring members working to meet standards. Regional mentorship programs emerged where accepted shops helped applicants develop the necessary culture and skills. Hans Weber led the European expansion, establishing cooperative chapters that adapted to different regulatory environments while maintaining core values. The global network became a living laboratory for sustainable business practices. Americans think fast, adapt quickly, Hans observed. Europeans plan methodically, value tradition. Both approaches strengthen the whole when combined properly. As the cooperative movement gained momentum, Michael often found himself reflecting on that pivotal snowstorm night 8 years ago. The stranger who'd needed help had transformed into family, but more importantly, she'd catalyzed a movement that continued expanding. You know what's remarkable? Sarah mused one evening as they watched sunset paint the shop's windows golden. That night, you had every reason to drive past, broke, worried about Tyler, facing unemployment. But you stopped. I had no choice, Michael replied. My father's voice in my head wouldn't let me pass by someone in need. And now thousands of people have been helped because you couldn't ignore that voice. The corporate chain couldn't buy that from you, that instinct to help first, calculate costs later. Their conversation was interrupted by Tyler testing the night lighting on his latest project, converting the shop's old tow truck into a mobile diagnostic unit for roadside assistance. The vehicle featured AI-powered systems, sustainable power, generation, and comfort amenities for stranded motorists. First responders have ambulances. Tyler explained his vision. Mechanics should have something similar. No one should feel abandoned on the roadside. Emily emerged from the institute carrying printouts. I've got preliminary data from the predictive maintenance trials. We've reduced unexpected breakdowns by 67% across participating vehicles. More importantly, we've cut emergency towing calls by 40%. Those aren't just statistics, Maria added from her medical station, where she monitored the wellness program for elderly customers. That's peace of mind, dignity preserved for people on fixed incomes who can't afford surprises. The convergence of technological innovation and human compassion continued defining the Henderson legacy. As the Institute prepared for its first graduation class, Michael addressed the assembled mechanics, engineers, and community leaders. 8 years ago, I fixed a stranger's car in a snowstorm. That stranger became family, then catalyst, then inspiration for something larger than any of us imagined. This isn't just about automotive excellence. It's about creating communities, resilient enough to weather any storm. The applause echoed long after his words faded, but Michael's mind already moved forward to tomorrow's challenges. The cooperative had proven ethical business could thrive even against corporate pressure. The next test would be scaling that success while preserving its soul. That night, as Lancaster settled into sleeping rhythms, Michael walked the shop one final time. The German precision tools still hung on the wall, now joined by innovations from Japan, India, and Brazil. The diagnostic bay hummed with Emily's AI systems. Tyler's office wall displayed photos from roadside assistance calls, where he'd made the difference between missed opportunities and continued journeys. Outside, the city lights stretched toward the horizon, each glow representing another potential connection, another life that might intersect with theirs in unexpected ways. The legacy wasn't just in the buildings, technology, or training programs. It lived in the choice made daily by every cooperative member to pause for someone in need, to share knowledge freely, to build community through acts of mechanical compassion. The lush stars above Lancaster seemed particularly bright that night, their light carrying across distances just as kindness rippled through communities. And somewhere in the darkness, another stranger likely faced car trouble, another opportunity waited to unfold. Another chapter of the endless story that began with one man choosing to help when everything suggested hurrying past. The cycle continued. The legacy grew, and the simple truth remained. Sometimes the greatest transformations start with the smallest acts of kindness, witnessed only by falling snow and desperate hope, but powerful enough to change not just lives, but entire ways of living. In the shop's quiet, Michael could almost hear his father's voice approving, Sarah's original Mustang humming gratefully, and the countless engines that had passed through these bays adding their mechanical harmonies to the growing symphony of community saved, one unexpected act of helping at a time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight held only gratitude for the journey so far and anticipation for the roads yet to be traveled. Because in the end, life's most precious destinations weren't marked on maps. They were discovered through the detours taken to help someone in need, leading not to mere success, but to purpose itself. And so the story continued, written daily, in moments of choice, to stop or pass by, to help or hesitate, to build walls or bridges, each decision echoing through time like ripples in still water, proving again and again that the smallest kindness could generate waves powerful enough to reshape entire coastlines of human potential. The legacy remained in motion, growing with each mile driven by those who'd learned that true mechanical mastery meant fixing not just machines, but mending the fabric of community itself, one unexpected relationship at a time. 10 years after the snowstorm that changed everything, Lancaster buzzed with preparation for the Henderson Legacy Festival. Main Street was closed to traffic, transformed into a showcase of automotive history, technological innovation, and community celebration. Michael Henderson stood atop the Institute's rooftop garden, watching the sunrise paint the valley gold. The city had evolved dramatically. Solar charging stations dotted the landscape. The converted coal plant now housed the Regional Vocational Training Center, and the cooperative had grown to 247 autonomous shops across 6 continents. "Papa, we need you downstairs," Tyler called through the doorway. Now 23, he carried himself with quiet confidence, his engineering degree complementing the mechanical intuition he'd inherited. The Norwegian delegation arrived early. In the Institute's main hall, representatives from Oslo's electric vehicle program examined Tyler's masterpiece, the adaptive response vehicle, lovingly dubbed the Guardian by the community. The modified emergency response vehicle combined AI diagnostics, mobile repair capabilities, and advanced medical support systems. This unit responded to over 300 roadside emergencies last quarter, Tyler explained to the fascinated engineers. But statistics don't tell the real story. Yesterday alone, we helped an elderly diabetic reach the hospital, recovered a stolen catalytic converter for a struggling family, and restored a young artist's van so she could make her first gallery showing. Emily Chen Morgan entered with her characteristic energy, her tablet displaying real-time data from the cooperative network. Now 25, she'd revolutionized predictive maintenance technology while earning recognition as one of America's rising innovators. "Michael, the satellite image processing is detecting unusual wear patterns in 16 vehicles across our main chapter," she reported. Analyzing now. Fascinating. The salt trucking fleet shows identical component stress. We're predicting critical failures they haven't even imagined yet. Such moments validated their choice to remain independent. The global consulting firms that had courted them offered lucrative contracts, but they couldn't match the satisfaction of proactive problem-solving that saved communities from cascading maintenance crises. The festival officially opened with Mayor Patricia Chen, Emily's mother, newly elected, cutting the ceremonial ribbon. The transformed woman bore little resemblance to the doctor who'd once brought a sullen teenager for court-ordered service. 10 years ago, this shop saved my daughter from a destructive path, she addressed the crowd. Today, the principles established here have transformed our entire economic model. We've proven that prosperity flows from putting people before profit. Throughout the morning, the cooperative's diverse memberships demonstrated their specialties. The Detroit chapter showcased their innovative apprenticeship program that had reduced youth unemployment by 40%. Rural Montana's solar-powered mobile repair unit served remote communities across 3 states. Tokyo's shop displayed their zero-waste parts recycling system that eliminated 90% of automotive waste. Hans Weber led the International Pavilion, his accent now a charming blend of German precision and American warmth. Beside him stood his wife, Maria Elena Garcia Weber, whom he'd met during a medical emergency call when she'd translated for a Spanish-speaking customer. The cooperative now serves as a United Nations case study for sustainable development, Hans proudly announced. 22 countries have adapted our model to their cultural contexts while maintaining the core value, integrity in service. The afternoon sessions focused on emerging challenges. Sarah Chen, wearing her role as cooperative chairwoman with characteristic grace, moderated a panel on the transition to electric and hydrogen vehicles. The internal combustion engine isn't disappearing overnight, she addressed concerned traditional mechanics. But our members who embrace change earliest often become regional leaders. Every shift creates opportunity for those willing to learn. During the panel, a commotion erupted near the entrance. Marcus Morgan, Emily's estranged father, had arrived, despite everyone's hopes he'd finally leave them alone. But the man who entered bore little resemblance to the threatening figure from years past. "I didn't come to cause trouble," he announced when Michael approached cautiously. "I've been sober 2 years. Found work at a shop in Pittsburgh that follows. Your methods." He paused, struggling with emotion. "I wanted to apologize to all of you, and, if she'll permit it, to speak with Emily." Emily appeared at the commotion's center, her face cycling through complex emotions. The years had given her strength, but facing childhood trauma required different courage. 5 minutes, she agreed, gesturing to a quiet corner. "I won't promise forgiveness, but I can offer closure." Their conversation, while private, marked another transformation. Marcus had discovered the cooperative network through his employer, learned about Emily's innovations through professional journals, and finally understood the life she'd built despite, or perhaps strengthened by, his absence. "I can't repair the past," he told her quietly, "but maybe I can honor the present by being part of the solution, not the problem. My shop's applying to join the cooperative, not for me, but for the community we serve." Emily's response showed the wisdom she'd gained. Change isn't about erasing history, it's about choosing better chapters going forward. If your shop commitment proves genuine, maybe healing comes through shared purpose. The festival's evening celebration brought the entire community together. Food trucks representing 10 nations lined the streets, while the restored 1952 Mercedes, now the Historical Society's mobile museum, offered rides showcasing Lancaster's transformation. Tyler found Michael standing quietly by the original, a shop bay where he'd first repaired Maria's radiator hose that snowy night. Papa, Dr. Patel wants to discuss the biomedical sensors project, Tyler began, then noticed his father's contemplative stance. But that can wait. This is where it all started, Michael mused, touching the wall. One moment of choosing to help instead of hurrying past. Sometimes I wonder about all the paths not taken, all the people who passed by someone in need at crucial moments. But you didn't, Tyler reminded him. And look what evolved. Maria approached from the medical station, her presence now as natural as her 10-year absence had been defining. She'd carved her own niche within the cooperative, establishing health screening programs that prevented countless accidents caused by undiagnosed medical conditions affecting driving ability. Sarah's needed at the International Hall, Maria informed them. The Brazilian delegation wants to accelerate their timeline for implementing the apprenticeship program. As Michael moved through the festival, story after story accumulated. The former coal workers who'd become certified electric, vehicle technicians, the teenage girl learning welding who reminded him of Emily's early defiance, the Iranian refugee learning diesel mechanics to support her family while attending night school for petroleum engineering. The cooperative had become a living laboratory for social transformation through practical skills. Every repair built trust. Every diagnostic prevented breakdown, every apprentice created possibility. As sunset approached, Michael climbed back to the Institute's roof garden, where a small gathering had assembled. The core family, Sarah, Tyler, Emily, Maria, Hans, and their extended shop family, watched the city lights emerge as daylight faded. "I still carry that business card," Michael admitted, producing the worn paper from his wallet. The contact information had long since changed, but the memento anchored countless memories. Sometimes I look at it and wonder if Maria would have found me without that connection. I maintain that God, fate, or quantum mechanics conspired that night, Maria reflected. Wrong turns brought me to that mall. Car trouble stranded me there. Cell phone failure made me desperate enough to approach a stranger. Too many variables aligned not to be purposeful. Sarah squeezed his hand. Purpose reveals itself through commitment, not coincidence. You chose to stop. You chose to fix rather than drive away. You chose community over convenience repeatedly. Those choices created cascade effects. The conversation drifted to futures unwritten. Tyler revealed his latest project, The Haven, a mobile workshop capable of sustaining itself off-grid to serve communities affected by natural disasters. Combining solar power, rainwater collection, and portable manufacturing capabilities, it represented the next evolution of community-resilient infrastructure. Climate change isn't just about weather anymore, Tyler explained his vision. It's about ensuring communities maintain essential services when traditional infrastructure fails. Mechanical services become critical survival resources during emergencies. Emily supported his concept while pushing different boundaries. Her research into quantum computing for diagnostic algorithms promised to predict system failures with unprecedented accuracy. Imagine knowing a part will fail not weeks, but months in advance, she described the potential. We could schedule maintenance around people's lives rather than forcing life around mechanical emergencies. As the festival concluded with fireworks over Lancaster, the cooperative announced its most ambitious expansion yet, the Global Skills Exchange Program. Member shops could now rotate staff internationally, creating cross-pollination of techniques, while building bridges between diverse automotive traditions. We learned American customer care must adapt to German precision. Hans outlined the program's goals. Japanese attention to detail enhances Australian practicality. South African innovation solves challenges Malaysian technicians haven't encountered. Every culture contributes essential wisdom. The announcement triggered excitement among younger mechanics eager for international experience. But Michael emphasized the exchange's deeper purpose during his closing remarks. "We're not trading mechanics like baseball cards," he clarified to laughter. "We're weaving a tapestry where every thread strengthens the whole. When disaster strikes anywhere, our network responds everywhere. We're building the world's first truly global community built around the simple act of helping strangers fix their transportation." As families packed away festival booths and swept confetti from streets, Michael performed his nightly ritual of walking the original shop one last time. The space had been preserved as a training facility where newcomers learned fundamentals without advanced technology's distractions. Tonight, however, he discovered Tyler conducting an impromptu lesson for a small group, children who'd wandered from the festival's family area, fascinated by mechanical mysteries. "Tools are extensions of your mind," Tyler taught them, demonstrating proper wrench technique. "When you hold one correctly, you can feel what the machine is telling you through the metal. It's conversation, not force." Michael watched his son impart wisdom he'd received the same way, through patient demonstration and metaphor, connecting mechanical concepts to familiar experiences. The cycle continued not just through cooperative expansion, but through quiet moments of passing knowledge to the next generation. After the children returned to their parents, father and son stood together in the workshop's familiar quiet. "Do you ever regret staying here instead of taking those Stanford or MIT offers?" Michael asked. "Never," Tyler answered immediately. "Those schools teach you to think about problems. Here, I learned to solve them with people watching, needing results yesterday, grateful but impatient." He gestured around the historic shop. "This is where theory meets reality, where helping matters more than knowing." Their reflection was interrupted by a familiar sound. A car struggling in the parking lot's darkness. Without hesitation, both men moved toward the sound, mechanic's instinct overriding exhaustion. Outside, they discovered a young couple standing beside an overheating Subaru, their 3 children sleeping in car seats. The parents spoke limited English, their distress evident through the language barrier. "Refugee resettlement has them moving through tonight." Michael assessed the situation instantly. Car overheating. Probably drove too far without stopping in unfamiliar territory. Using a combination of gestures, smartphone translation apps, and universal mechanical concepts, Michael and Tyler diagnosed the issue. A coolant hose had developed a small leak, not catastrophic, but enough to strand them far from their destination. While Michael gathered replacement parts, Tyler organized sleeping quarters in the shop's break room. Maria, seeing the lights, arrived with blankets and basic medical supplies. Sarah brought leftover festival food. Hans appeared with children's coloring books in multiple languages. By midnight, the Subaru hummed and was repaired while the family slept safely. The parents had tried to pay, pressing cash into Michael's hands, but their limited resources clearly needed conservation for their journey ahead. "These are the moments," Tyler observed quietly as they cleaned their workspace. "Not the festivals or international recognition. This family will remember Lancaster as the place where strangers became helpers when they felt most alone. And maybe someday," Michael added, thinking of exponential kindness, "they'll pass by someone else's breakdown and choose to stop instead of hurry on." Dawn found them preparing to quietly wake the family and send them onward with a repaired vehicle, full water bottles, and snacks for the children. Before departing, the father attempted words that transcended language, gestures of gratitude pointing to his heart, then to the shop, then to the stars above. As their taillights disappeared toward Highway 81, Michael and Tyler shared knowing smiles. 10 years, thousands of repairs, hundreds of lives touched, dozens of communities transformed, and still the core remained simple. People helping people, strangers becoming family, mechanical compassion creating societal change. The next morning brought international news coverage of the Henderson cooperative model being adopted by the European Union as a framework for sustainable community business practices. Interview requests flooded in from Harvard Business School, the World Economic Forum, and global think tanks analyzing their success, but Michael's focus remained local. When Lancaster's sudden summer flood threatened the River District, the cooperative's emergency response unit mobilized within an hour. Mechanics became first responders, using diagnostic equipment for water level sensing, lift equipment for rescue, and workshop spaces for shelter. "This is our Katrina moment," Michael briefed his team as muddy waters rose. "How we respond defines legacy more than any festival. Prioritize people, then property." The flood revealed the cooperative's true strength. Throughout Lancaster and beyond, member shops activated crisis protocols. Shops in unaffected regions shipped parts and equipment. Mechanics volunteered rotation schedules to maintain 24-hour coverage. Apprentices organized logistics, while master technicians led rescue operations. When floodwaters receded, the shop had processed 347 emergency repairs, prevented 36 vehicles from permanent damage, and restored mobility for countless families. But the crisis had also demonstrated gaps in their model, primarily the need for more robust amphibious response capabilities. "Every challenge reveals the next innovation," Emily summarized during the post-crisis evaluation. "We saved hundreds of vehicles, but we could have saved thousands with better aquatic interface technologies." Her observations sparked the development of the Aqua Response Initiative, submersible diagnostic equipment, waterproof mobile workshops, and floating parts delivery systems. Tyler spearheaded the project, convinced that climate change would demand automotive services capable of operating in partial flood conditions. "Venice mechanics have worked in wet conditions for centuries," he researched historical precedents. "But modern vehicles' electronic complexity requires new solutions. We're essentially creating amphibious automotive medicine." The initiative attracted environmental scientists studying urban resilience. Collaboration flourished between mechanics and hydrologists, creating predictive models that helped communities prepare for automotive infrastructure during flood events. 6 months after the flood, Michael received an unexpected invitation. The Nobel Committee sought his consultation for their economic advisory panel, studying how technological innovation could accelerate social equity. While honored, he declined the position but suggested an alternative. "The real expertise exists. At ground level," he proposed, "invite the cooperative's members directly. Let mechanics present alongside economists. True innovation emerges where technical skills meet community need." The committee agreed, marking the first time Nobel panels included active tradespeople discussing global economic policy. Hans Weber represented Europe. Keiko Tanaka from Tokyo shared insights on aging population challenges, and Miguel Santos from Brazil presented on rural community development through mechanical services. Economics has traditionally ignored the maintenance economy. Keiko presented compelling data. Yet automotive repair employs more people globally than manufacturing. When communities prioritize repair over replacement, they build resilience while reducing ecological impact. The Nobel consultation elevated the cooperative's visibility internationally, but more importantly, it validated the value of practical knowledge in policy formation. Governments began consulting local repair networks before implementing transportation and climate policies. This recognition produced unexpected complications. Corporate headhunters aggressively recruited cooperative members, offering salaries triple their current earnings to establish competing networks. Some mechanics struggled with temptation, especially those supporting families. Michael addressed the challenge during the cooperative's first emergency virtual assembly since formation. "Our competitors correctly assess that our people are our greatest asset," he acknowledged honestly. "Higher salaries are attractive, But ask yourselves, will you find this community elsewhere? Can money replace the knowledge that your work directly improves someone's life every day? The assembly evolved into spontaneous testimonials. A Michigan mechanic shared how the cooperative helped him provide reliable transportation for cancer patients. A California shop owner described transforming her community by focusing on vehicle issues affecting low-income families. It's not about perfect loyalty, Michael concluded. We understand life circumstances change, but before leaving, talk with us. Let's find solutions that honor both personal needs and collective values. The crisis passed with minimal defections, but it reinforced the need for sustainable compensation models. Sarah implemented profit-sharing structures, ensuring that as the cooperative prospered, individual shops thrived proportionally. Corporate raiders won't outbid us on salary, she explained the strategy, but they can't offer the satisfaction of knowing your direct success enriches your entire chosen community. The year progressed with steady expansion. The cooperative welcomed its first African chapters. South African innovators combining mechanical services with renewable energy projects in townships. Their solar-powered mobile workshops demonstrated how automotive skills could catalyze complete community transformation. Tyler spent 3 months in Cape Town, learning how mechanics there integrated social services with repairs. They address car trouble as a symptom of larger issues, he reported via video calls. Unreliable transportation often connects to employment instability, which links to housing problems. By fixing the car, they access the person's whole situation. This insight influenced the cooperative's next evolution. Member shops began training as community concierges, mechanics who also connected customers with job resources, educational programs, and social services when automotive issues revealed broader struggles. We're mechanics first, Michael clarified the expansion. But mechanical problems often expose deeper needs. If someone's repairing the same unreliable car monthly because they can't afford replacement, maybe we should connect them with financial counseling or used car cooperatives. Emily's technological development supported this integrated approach. Her AI system began analyzing patterns beyond mechanical issues, correlating repair frequency with zip codes, identifying financial stress indicators, suggesting intervention. Points before families experience transportation crises. This raises ethical questions, she presented to the cooperative board. If our data reveals someone's probably facing foreclosure based on their increasing deferred maintenance, do we have an obligation to help? The board established guidelines emphasizing consent and dignity. Help would be offered, never imposed. Connection to resources would be discreet, preserving privacy. The goal remained empowerment, not dependency. Our tools show problems, Michael summarized the policy. Our hearts choose solutions. As the second anniversary of the flood approached, Lancaster planned a resilience festival celebrating community. Partnerships forged during the crisis. Michael surprised everyone by announcing his intention to step back from daily cooperative leadership. Tyler and Emily represent the future's understanding, he explained to concerned members. They've proven capable during the flood response and international exchanges. Leadership should prepare to transfer while mentors remain accessible. The transition occurred gradually. Michael moved from president to chief mentor, focusing on difficult cases and wisdom sharing. Tyler assumed operational leadership while Emily directed technological development. Sarah continued steering strategy, identifying growth opportunities. Aligned with cooperative values, the shift allowed Michael to pursue a long-deferred dream, establishing the Roadside Philosopher program. Using his custom RV converted to mobile workshop, he traveled to isolated shops, struggling with philosophical alignment to technology integration. The further from cities we travel, the more essential our work becomes, he discovered during initial journeys. Rural communities depend completely on individual transportation. Our services aren't convenience, they're lifelines. His travels yielded profound lessons about American economic diversity. In prosperous coastal areas, shops focused on luxury service and cutting-edge technology. Rural regions prioritized durability and affordability. The cooperative's strength lay in accommodating both extremes while maintaining ethical standards. Throughout these journeys, Michael documented stories for the cooperative's oral history project. A Wyoming mechanic working alone for 50 miles, in any direction. The Minnesota shop where 3 generations worked side by side. The Alaska technician combining automotive repair with bush pilot maintenance. Every shop teaches something essential about human resilience, he reported back. The widow who learned diesel mechanics to run her late husband's towing service. The veteran who found purpose rebuilding vintage police vehicles for historical preservation. These stories are our real curriculum. Maria joined several trips, establishing the Mobile Medical Initiative, combining basic health screening with automotive service for remote populations. Their partnership demonstrated how comprehensive community care required multiple expertise working harmoniously. In areas without nearby hospitals, we've diagnosed early medical issues while waiting for parts delivery. Maria reported unexpected benefits. A blood pressure check during an oil change saved one farmer from an undetected stroke risk. Meanwhile, Tyler's leadership style emerged distinctively. Where Michael had been paternal and steady, Tyler embraced collaborative chaos, gathering diverse perspectives before decisions, accepting productive disagreement, viewing conflict as clarification opportunity. My generation grew up with collaborative technology, he explained his approach. We're comfortable with distributed decision-making. The cooperative isn't a hierarchy, it's a neural network where every node contributes to overall intelligence. His methods sometimes frustrated traditionalists, but produced breakthrough innovations. The apprentice review boards Tyler established, where newcomers evaluated training effectiveness and suggested improvements, initially met resistance, but ultimately revolutionized skill development. Students often see blind spots in established teaching. Tyler defended the system. Their fresh perspectives prevent knowledge ossification. Emily's technological leadership manifested differently. She built AI systems that deliberately remained transparent, explainable, and subordinate to human judgment. Technology should amplify human skill, not replace human connection, became her design principle. If a system can't be explained to an apprentice learning basics, it's too complex for our values. Her most controversial innovation, the ethics override protocol, allowed any cooperative member to temporarily disable automated recommendations when they conflicted with community needs. This protected the human element essential to their mission. On the 10th anniversary of Henderson Auto Care's founding, coincidentally, exactly a decade after the snowstorm, the cooperative celebrated with simultaneous events across its global network. The Lancaster headquarters hosted delegates from every chapter, including new members from Cambodia, Peru, and Iceland. Klaus Weber, now semi-retired and focusing on philosophy writing, delivered the keynote address with characteristic insight. Up. Next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.